You open a menu, 3 options stare back at you, small, medium, large. You don't think for long, you pick the medium. Of course you do. It feels safe, not too cheap, not too expensive, not too little, not too much. Just right. But here's the part most people never notice. That safe choice may have been designed before you even walked in. Someone knew your brain would run toward the middle, and they built the menu around that. This is called the decoy effect. And once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. In restaurants, in app subscriptions, in pricing pages, in real estate, in negotiations, and sometimes even in the way we judge people. Here's the trick. Your brain does not judge options in isolation. It judges them by comparison. So when you see 3 choices, your mind quickly starts sorting them. The cheapest option feels risky. Maybe it's too basic. Maybe it's low quality. Maybe you'll regret it. The most expensive option feels excessive. Maybe it's wasteful. Maybe it's unnecessary. Maybe it's only for people with too much money. And then there's the middle option. It looks balanced. It looks mature. It looks like the smart choice. But the disturbing part is this. The other 2 options may not be there because they're good choices. They may be there to make the middle option look better. The small size exists to make the middle option look better. The small size exists to make the medium feel reasonable. You think you chose the middle, but the lineup pushed you there. Restaurants know this. Largest choice to there. Restaurants know this. That's why menus are not random. The placement, the prices, the descriptions, even the order of the items, all of it can be engineered. A restaurant may place one overpriced dish on the menu, not because they expect everyone to buy it, but because it makes the next expensive dish feel reasonable. Suddenly, the meal that looked costly a second ago now feels like a smart compromise. And compromise feels good. That's the trap. Because when your brain feels like it found balance, it stops questioning. Subscription apps do the same thing. You've seen it 100 times. Basic. Standard. But look closer. The basic plan may be intentionally weak. The premium plan may be intentionally bloated, not because those are the best products, but because they make the middle plan feel obvious. You don't compare the standard plan to your actual needs. You compare it to the other 2 plans, and that is exactly what the company wants. This is why a $4.99 plan can feel expensive by itself, but cheap when it sits next to a A1 $4.99 plan. The expensive option becomes an anchor. It changes the meaning of every price below it. The middle option is no longer just a price. It becomes a story. I'm not being cheap. I'm not overspending. I'm making the sensible choice. And people love feeling sensible. But this doesn't stop with products. It also affects how we judge people. Imagine you're interviewing 3 candidates. One is clearly underqualified. One is extremely experienced, but maybe too expensive or too intense. And one sits right in the middle. Qualified, reasonable, comfortable. That middle person may suddenly feel like the best choice, not because they are objectively the best, but because the comparison made them look safe. Dating can work the same way. You scroll through profiles. One person seems too boring, one seems too intense, then one person appears balanced, not too much, not too little, just enough. And your brain relaxes. It says, this one. But sometimes that feeling is not attraction, it's contrast. Your brain needed a reference point, and the middle option became the answer. Real estate agents understand deeply. They may show you a house that is overpriced, badly designed, or slightly broken. You walk through it and think, no way. Then they show you the house they actually want you to consider. Suddenly, it feels cleaner, cheaper, more practical, more reasonable. But maybe that second house was never a perfect deal. Maybe it only felt like a deal because the first house lowered your standards. The first house was not a real option. It was a setup. Negotiations work the setup. Negotiations work the something extreme first. A very high price. A big favor. Wild condition. You reject it immediately. Then they make the real request. And now it feels fair. Why? Because compared to the extreme request, the second one feels moderate. The middle feels peaceful. The middle feels safe. The middle feels like agreement. And that is why it is so powerful. The decoy effect doesn't force you. It doesn't threaten you. It doesn't even feel like manipulation. It feels like common sense. That's what makes it dangerous, because the strongest influence is the one you don't notice. You walk away thinking, I made a smart decision, but sometimes you didn't choose the best option. You chose the option that was framed to look best. And even knowing this doesn't make you fully immune, because this shortcut is old. Your brain loves comparison. It loves patterns. It loves avoiding extremes. For most of human history, that helped us survive. The middle fruit might be ripe. In medius, the middle risk might be survivable. The middle choice might avoid danger. But today, that ancient shortcut is being used inside pricing tables, menus, apps, stores, dating platforms, and sales conversations. Not by accident, by design. So here's the question to ask the next time you see 3 options. Would I still want this middle option if the other 2 disappeared? Would I still choose it if it stood alone? Would I still think it was worth it without the cheap option below it, the expensive option below it, and the expensive option above it? Because if the answer is no, then you were not choosing the middle. The middle was choosing you, and somewhere, behind a spreadsheet full of prices, tests, and conversion numbers, someone already knew it would.